This week, Siskel and Ebert review Arnold Schwarzenegger stalking a deadly enemy in Predator. Martin Sheen investigates a bizarre cult in the supernatural thriller, The Believers. And a frantic treasure hunt in the Southwest is the setting for the $1 million mystery. It's all coming up next on Siskel and Ebert and the Movies.
What happened? I saw it. You saw what? I saw it.
Arnold Schwarzenegger parachutes into the jungle on a political mission, but finds himself fighting a creature from outer space in Predator, one of the new movies we'll be reviewing this week. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune. Predator stars the muscle man with a smirk, Arnold Schwarzenegger, in a story that is part Rambo and part alien. And that's a tired mix for me. I'm personally tired of seeing a commando armed to the teeth battling a slimy, extraterrestrial creature with a horrendous overbite. Typical of the all-too-familiar action in the film is when Schwarzenegger is sent to infiltrate an enemy village and rescue some Americans. Pure Rambo. Pure boredom, if you ask me.
What the hell was he doing?
Of course, that's just a Rambo-like setup for the real story, which is Arnold battling a mysterious force that hides among the trees and sees with heat-sensitive eyes and seemingly cannot be destroyed.
I know one thing, Major. I drew down the fire straight at it, capped off 200 rounds in the minigun. Full pack. Nothing. Nothing on this earth could have lived. Not at that range.
Hank, you take first watch, then you get some rest. Okay.
Later, Arnold interrogates a Latin American woman. The dialogue only repeats the same tired theme.
Yesterday, what did you see?
You're wasting your time.
No more games.
I don't know what it was.
Go on.
It changed colors, like the chameleon. It uses the jungle.
What's your name?
Anna.
Anna, this thing is hunting us. All of us.
I think you get the feeling you've seen this movie before, except, I must say, when the creature arrives. When the creature arrives, that's a little different in the beginning of the creature. But when you see the creature finally at the end of the picture, then you think you're seeing outtakes from the movie Aliens. As derivative as Predator is, though, it's not all bad, not by a long shot. Schwarzenegger can be funny, and the creature, as I said, is a marvelous creation in its invisibility as it moves around and blends with the foliage. But the story is old hat. No, make that recent hat. Rambo mixed with aliens.
Let me get this straight. You liked the creature as long as you couldn't see it. It was only when you could see it that you didn't like it.
It's full, yes, it is full revelation, and I don't want to give away too much of the movie.
You must have enjoyed the early scenes in The Invisible Man, too.
I did enjoy them. Yes, my imagination is more interesting than the reality.
This movie, I think, is better than you're giving it credit for. It is exactly what it is. It is a pure summer action picture.
Yeah.
It is 2 hours of excitement. They shot it on location in the jungle, which is a very effective place, a very effective
that's a good
environment.
Place to for a jungle movie.
No, but I mean, they could have shot it on the back lot somewhere. This looks and sounds right. It feels right. There's a lot of energy in it, and that's what it is. Of course, it's a cross between Aliens and Rambo, but so what? Well, the people who will enjoy this movie can't remember last summer's movies. They probably can't remember last week's movie.
Now, come on. forget the people. I don't care about the, obviously people are going to enjoy it. I don't enjoy it. I'm tired of this stuff, and that's all that I'm paid here to say.
Okay, next movie. Our next movie is named $1 Million. I shouldn't have been so hard on those. What I'm trying to say is, not that they couldn't remember the movies they'd seen last week, but that it's this is a Friday night entertainment.
Yeah.
It's very, very effective.
Your standards are
level.
dropping. Your standards are dropping.
My standards are not dropping.
Your standards are dropping.
Your next movie is my standards. You think my standards are dropping. Our next movie, I was about to say, is named $1 Million Mystery.
Okay.
Speaking of dropping standards, and by now you've probably heard about the gimmick they're using to promote this movie. The producer, Dino De Laurentiis, concealed a real $1 million somewhere in the United States, and if you follow the clues, you might be able to find the money. The movie begins when Tom Bosley staggers into a truck stop, gives some clues for the hidden treasure, and dies.
How would you like $4 million?
$4 million? Yeah, $4 million. Yeah, I'm all ears. Go ahead. Yeah.
There's $4 million hidden in 4 different places. $1 million in each place. Each one is in the bridge.
Bridge, okay. Yeah.
Start at the city of the bridge.
That sets off a frantic chase involving a large crowd of would-be millionaires. There are a lot of satirical in-jokes in the movie, and the one that I sort of like was a black-and-white modern version of a detective movie that the couple in the real movie wander into.
What can I do for you?
Well, we were wondering if you could help us find out about a man by the name of Sidney Preston who used to live in this town.
I can tell you a lot about Preston.
Great.
He's the kind of guy whose life gets under your skin, like a splinter on a redwood love seat. Take this down, sweetheart. It was a wet Saturday morning. Steam rose off the pavements like it does off fresh hot dogs.
The treasure hunters find all the money in or near bridges, including London Bridge, which gets a big commercial plug in the movie since it was rebuilt as a resort in Arizona. Yeah, and that's what happens all through the movie. They keep dropping the money so that it blows off to the 4 winds, and after it's done once, you realize it's going to happen the next 3 times, so it has a grim predictability to it. There are a few funny moments in this movie, but not enough of them, and that's because the purpose of this movie is not really to entertain us. It's a gimmick, and the gimmick of the missing money gets real old real fast, especially since nothing the characters do seems to have any bearing on whether they find the money or not. It's all just luck. And another thing that confused me about this film is that you apparently don't need to see the movie in order to find the $1 million. There are clues in the movie, but the clues are also on the boxes of this retail product, which has a tie-in with the movie. Now, in fact, there's a card in here, and it's got the entry blank, and you can also get it at the movie theater.
Right. They hand this stuff out. They hand these blanks out at the movie theater. If you buy a ticket, they hand the blanks out, Roger.
Yeah.
At the window at the ticket seller, so you don't even, to get the clues, you don't even have to buy a ticket, which would be my recommendation.
Yeah, and I didn't win the $25,000 instant prize, but I can use this to save 15 cents on my next purchase. I'm not sure what all of this has to do with the art of the cinema, but I guess it's an interesting promotion. I mean, you know, see this movie and you might win $1 million, and if that doesn't work, maybe they could try an interest-free loan on your next movie ticket, or maybe a rebate.
All right, I saw the film, and obviously,
that's nice.
Yeah, no, it isn't nice. I saw the film, and the point is, they would do a better service if they simply said, try for $1 million, or we'll give you our ticket back. I mean, I would take the $6 back rather than go for the $1 million. I mean,
I don't understand the math of what you just said.
In other words, the movie's lousy. That's the whole point. The movie is lousy because everything in the movie has to happen in order for the contest to go ahead. It starts with the contest, and then all 3 back. Yes, sir. In other words, the creation process, this is not a movie. Okay. As you said, this is a contest.
The only thing that really comes out good out of this movie is Glad Bags, because I've seen a lot of movies that could have used Glad Bags, but this is the first movie that admits it. Coming up next, a thriller that tries to make us believe in Latin American voodoo was practiced right in New York City. It's called The Believers.
God gave his only begotten son. Let him go!
Is The Believers, and it's the ambitious but overlong and belabored yarn about a police psychologist played by Martin Sheen who comes to New York after his wife dies and winds up finding even more grief there in the form of voodoo from Latin America, which is running rampant in New York City. Murders are being committed. The New York police themselves are scared. And then Sheen encounters voodoo firsthand when he takes Helen Shaver, a prospective lover, to a Spanish Harlem benefit.
One of us. Go, quickly, go now.
That's right, that voodoo dancer has the power, and his black magic is used for evil in the film as Detective Robert Loggia finds out to his horror he's scared crazy.
I came alone. I'm here to help you.
Why haven't they done anything to you?
What have they done to you, Sean?
I can't move.
Now, what are we seeing there? I mean, really, all it is some kind of updating of some cheap 1950s voodoo movie. I think you can see the repetition there. The story makes tremendous demands on your credibility, unless you already do believe in voodoo, in which case, probably, this isn't even a good voodoo movie and a representation of voodoo. It's an interesting cast, but a meandering, shaggy dog voodoo story, all the dolls and the piercing of the dolls. I wasn't scared for a minute. I didn't believe it for a minute. All I thought I was seeing was voodoo on parade.
Well, I thought it was a very silly, ridiculous, and bad movie.
Okay, so they can get some dolls out for you, too.
It was offensive right at the beginning, where Martin Sheen's first wife steps in a puddle of milk and touches the coffee maker
that was the most
and
ridiculous.
electrocutes herself for no reason other than to give us a pre-title sequence. It's not important to the rest of the movie. What bothered me was, you know, we've been talking about Arab bashing, where they take extremely negative Arab stereotypes because it's okay, the Arabs are our enemies, we can make them look real bad in the movies. That's not fair. By the same token, it's very unfashionable these days to have any anti-black images, but make them voodoo priests, because then we can absolutely exploit them in any way possible. And I thought there was a lot of not too far under the surface racism in this movie that really offended me.
Yeah, but Roger, what offended me more than that is that it is simply a very bad film. It is intended to scare you. We're supposed to feel all the fear that that woman feels. I wasn't scared for a single second.
Didn't work as a thriller. When we come back, we'll review Salvation, about a hypocritical television evangelist.
Now you have got to pound the word of the Lord into their heads. I don't care how you do it. I don't care where you do it, so long as you do it.
Handles that are easy to lift. Handles that are easy to carry to the curb with no twist ties. Glad handle tie bags. Don't get mad, get glad.
Our next movie is named Salvation, and it's a scandalous satire that wants to rip the lid off of TV evangelism. Well, that's a timely subject right now, but this movie is not out of the headlines. It's out of all the old Elmer Gantry-style cliches. It's the same old story about the hypocritical preacher who talks a good sermon but has trouble keeping his pants on. The movie opens with a down-and-out family that decides to invade the life of a TV preacher played by Stephen McCaddy.
Rhonda! Hey, Rhonda, what's this red thing on the TV, huh?
Since when have you been interested in the Reverend show?
Since you've been sending him half my paycheck.
It's my allowance, Jerome.
Don't be a smart-ass, Rhonda, all right? Just tell me what the hell is that thing?
So if you'll please just sit down and open your checkbooks. Make your checks payable to the Reverend Edward Randall Theological Seminary Fund.
The Reverend lives alone in a heavily guarded house, but he makes the mistake one night of letting in a mysterious visitor. After a sadomasochistic session, he's attacked by the girl and her brother-in-law and leaps out the window in a desperate escape attempt. Unfortunately, he's given a ride by the last person he wants to see.
You would not believe what happened to me. First, this conniving young harlot appears at my doorstep and proceeds to rape me.
No.
Yes.
Oh.
And then her maniac boyfriend, husband, I don't know what he was. He breaks into my house and almost kills me. And then these two toothless half-wits try to blackmail me. Can you believe it?
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. You're the Reverend Randall. You are the Reverend Randall. My husband, Jerome, did that to you.
What? My
No,
God.
wait.
And, of course, in a complete exercise in cynicism, that woman then teams up with a preacher to kind of combine heavy metal rock and roll with TV evangelism, and they're both going to get rich. This movie was made by an experimental New York filmmaker named Beth B. And I think she should have been either much more further out and really, you know, go with it in terms of an avant-garde movie, or maybe she should have been more mainstream. This movie can't seem to make up its mind about whether it's a thriller or an experiment in style. It's not interesting either way. The plot's dumb, the performances are wooden, every development is predictable, and at a time when we might really enjoy an incisive movie about TV evangelists, this is not it.
Of course, recent events make it hard to make a really interesting movie about TV evangelism, but I must say that I was struck, too, by one thing. Here's someone who's working outside the mainstream of Hollywood, a filmmaker, and she comes up with some of the most pedestrian, blunt, uninteresting, boring villains, thugs that attack this guy, and spends a good chunk of her movie, I'd say about a third of the movie at least, of just having this guy getting beat up. And I thought that basically it was just a prize fight instead of really honing in on evangelism in some interesting way, or really honing in onto this evangelist.
Yeah, I kept thinking, you know, now Beth B. is a cinema artist, you know. She set herself up as somebody who has an askew view on things. And I'm thinking, what is she doing here? Is she trying to be satirical on this subject by making a movie that is so banal and so dreary that it will be a satire on other movies, or is it just banal and dreary? And I came up with the answer, yes, it is. The Preacher, for example, he's not interesting.
No,
We've seen that character a million times.
You're right. Not a good film. Coming up next, our weekly home video segment featuring The Professionals with 4 great Western actors and a behind-the-scenes look at the world of Mother Teresa. This week is a really terrific Western that often gets overlooked when people are asked to pick their favorite Western. Some people say The Searchers, some say The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, or High Noon. I usually say Red River, but my video pick this week is in that class. It's the newly released 1966 hard-as-nails classic, The Professionals, with Burt Lancaster, Lee Marvin, Robert Ryan, and Woody Strode, 4 really fine actors performing as sort of a precursor to that other great Western called The Wild Bunch. These guys are a wild bunch, too, and the sight of them in action is entertainment enough.
Company, 8. Next man up ahead. Last night you saw tracks for 10.
That's right.
Any cover?
Both sides.
Cut out your 2 horses and the dynamite mule.
Maybe they're just passing through.
Well, if so, they'll ride at us in single file. The leader in front, and they'll palaver. But if it's trouble, they'll come at us in a group, no one in front. Now, if the leader takes his hat off with his left hand like this and passes it across him to cover his gun hand, let go fast.
Those guys are fabulous. Their craggy faces mirror the craggy rocks that are behind them. They don't have to do a darn thing just to be excited. Just have them walk through the landscape. It's beautiful. And the intricate way the ambush is worked out is fabulous. This is solid entertainment, written, directed by Richard Brooks at the top of his form. I strongly recommend The Professionals.
And so do I. It's one of my favorite Westerns. And Robert Ryan was a wonderful actor.
And kids don't know his name.
My video choice this week is a fascinating documentary about Mother Teresa, whose Sisters of Charity work among the world's poor. And here we see her hands-on approach to some of the patients in one of her hospitals.
And here we can get somebody to put grass here, you know? And we'll put some more seats like that over there.
Government gave us big land and we build a home for the dying, for children, and for our poor people.
The film is a result of 5 years of on and off work by Ann and Jeanette Petrie, who followed Mother Teresa on her world travels and tried to penetrate the mystery of this woman who many people believe is a living saint. There are a lot of very strong, very emotional scenes in the film, including this one where Mother Teresa and her order follow her vocation to care for the poor and the sick.
God's love is infinite, full of tenderness, full of compassion. God loves the world through us, you and me. The way you touch people, the way you give to people, that love for one another. It is his love in action through us.
Like a lot of people, I'd read about Mother Teresa in the papers without really getting a very good idea of who she was and what made her tick. This movie shows her as a woman of contradictions, cheerful in the face of affliction, humble and yet a strong-minded leader, simple in all outward things and yet amazingly sophisticated about the ways of the world. It's a good movie.
Oh, I think it's terrific, and I think it does one thing. It humanizes a person. Saints we can't grasp, but a human being who's that good, and we get to see her and we see her laugh, that's wonderful. Also, what you said about hands-on approach. She's not afraid to touch the sick. And right now in this world, we have a lot of people who are afraid to touch some very sick people. And I think that Mother Teresa would have the guts to do what a lot of people are afraid to do. And I think you know what I'm talking about.
She's a great woman. Now let's recap our reactions to the movies we reviewed this week. We split on Predator. Gene liked parts of the film, but thought most of it was derivative. I enjoyed its stylish action. 1 thumb up, 1 down. 2 thumbs down for $1 Million Mystery, one of the most pathetic caper movies ever made. 2 big thumbs down. We really just like The Believers, the voodoo thriller that had no thrills. 2 thumbs down for that one. And finally, we were in agreement on Salvation, the TV evangelist psychosexual thriller. 2 more thumbs down. So my lonely thumb for Predator is the only positive vote this week.
And I don't think it's a very good film. I would go say rent The Professionals. Mother Teresa film has been on PBS. See The Professionals. That's a great picture. That's it for this week. Next week, we'll be back with reviews of Stanley Kubrick's eagerly awaited new Vietnam film, Full Metal Jacket, and Steve Martin's new comedy, Roxanne. And until then, the balcony is closed.